What makes an aerial battle scene truly unforgettable? Is it the roar of engines, the tilt of the sky, or the feeling that you're strapped in with the pilots as history turns beneath them? World War II inspired filmmakers to go big, go real, and sometimes push cameras further than safety manuals ever intended. And the wild part is this: some of the most exciting flight scenes ever filmed are hiding in plain sight. Today, we are taking off into the 13 aerial combat films that still thrill. Number 13, The Battle of Britain, 1969. There is bold, and then there is building the biggest real aircraft lineup ever assembled for a movie. The Battle of Britain does something modern productions can only dream of. It gathers real Spitfires, Hurricanes, and Messerschmitt lookalikes, then sends them into the sky with the kind of commitment that makes you wonder how many safety forms were signed that summer. The result is a film that feels like a living time capsule. You are not watching computer animation. You are watching machinery from a past era slicing through real clouds. The story follows familiar beats of British pilots fighting back against overwhelming odds, but the magic is in the execution. The crew filmed in Spain, England, and on runways that still echoed with wartime history. They wrangled almost 100 vintage planes, many flown by pilots who knew how to squeeze emotion into every turn. The dogfights are crisp, wide, and beautifully chaotic, capturing fear, skill, and pure determination. Even with some dramatization, the movie wears its authenticity like a badge. It is both a tribute and a spectacle. If you ever wanted to know what it looked like when an entire air force defended its skies for real, this film delivers a stunning window into that world. It remains one of the most ambitious aerial recreations ever put on film. Number 12, Tora. Tora. Tora, 1970. Tora, Tora, Tora is the rare war film that refuses to take sides. Instead of pushing one dramatic angle, it splits itself between two perspectives. One half follows American officers trying to read confusing signals. The other watches Japanese planners preparing for the infamous attack. The approach feels almost documentary-like, but the aerial scenes are anything but quiet. The filmmakers used real aircraft, replica carriers, and large-scale practical effects, and the difference is immediate. You can feel the wind, the weight, and the danger in every flight pass. What sets this film apart is its obsession with accuracy. The research team dug through official reports, diaries, and old communication logs. They consulted veterans who had seen the events firsthand. They recreated flight routines exactly as they were taught in pilot training. Even the timing of movements across the ocean follows historical patterns. When the planes rise into formation, the sky looks organized, solemn, and full of tension. While some viewers find the pacing slower than modern action films, the payoff comes in the details. When the attack begins, the film unleashes a series of carefully executed aerial sequences that still look sharp decades later. It is not a loud blockbuster. Number 11, Memphis Belle, 1990. Memphis Belle takes you inside a bomber rather than around a fighter. And that shift changes everything. Instead of quick turns and tight maneuvers, you get long climbs, slow formation flying, and a creeping sense of anticipation that builds with each mile. The film follows the crew of a B-17 Flying Fortress on a mission that could make or break their future. The tension is not about one daring hero. It is about teamwork, holding together under pressure. What makes this movie stand out is how it blends character and action. Each crew member brings something different to the story. A navigator trying to stay calm, a pilot learning how to lead, a gunner realizing the sky is far larger and scarier than he imagined. When they step into that plane, the film becomes a chamber piece at 30,000 feet. The aerial work is excellent for its time. Instead of leaning on heavy visual tricks, the filmmakers shot real planes in the sky and combined them with convincing model work. The formations feel tight and important. When the plane tilts into danger, you feel it. Every close call pulls you further into the mission. Memphis Belle remains a heartfelt tribute to the young crews who flew into uncertain skies. Number 10, Red Tails, 2012. Red Tails enters the sky with style. It is loud, colorful, confident, and not afraid to give the spotlight to pilots who spent too long overlooked in film history. The movie centers on the Tuskegee Airmen, the groundbreaking group of African-American pilots who flew with fierce skill during World War II. Instead of approaching their story as a heavy drama, the film chooses a high-energy tone filled with slick aerial stunts and fast-moving action. The dogfights are the heart of the movie. They are bold and sharply edited, filled with looping turns and dramatic dives. The P-51 Mustangs slice across the sky like bright darts, and the camera follows with a level of smoothness that makes the scenes easy to follow. Although the film uses computer effects more than the classics on this list, the energy is undeniable. The flying feels celebratory, almost like a salute to the pilot's accomplishments. There is also an emotional layer beneath the flash. The crew deals with constant doubt from those around them, yet they push through with determination. When they finally get a chance to prove themselves, the film gives them a runway-long moment that feels earned. Number 9. Dunkirk, 2017. Christopher Nolan's Dunkirk changes the usual formula. Instead of telling a traditional war story, it uses time, sound, and tight editing to create a rising wave of tension. But the part that truly shines is the aerial section, with real Spitfires in the air, real cameras strapped to real cockpits, and minimal digital enhancement. The flight scenes feel crisp and grounded in reality. You can almost feel the tilt of the wings. The film jumps between land, sea, and air, but every time it cuts to the sky, the mood changes. It becomes quiet, focused, and strangely intimate. Tom Hardy's pilot barely speaks, yet every tiny movement of his eyes tells you exactly what he is thinking. When he lines up behind an enemy plane, the pacing shifts into a slow, methodical dance that shows how carefully trained pilots had to be. Nolan avoided flashy tricks and instead made his aerial scenes about endurance. Long gliding shots show how far a plane must travel before it can even reach a safe landing spot. Close-ups highlight how little visibility the pilots had. The film's final moments in the sky serve as one of the most powerful images in modern war cinema. Dunkirk proves that aerial combat does not always need dramatized chaos. Sometimes realism, silence, and a single plane drifting across the coast can deliver more impact than any explosion. Number 8. The Red Baron, 2008. The Red Baron technically covers World War I, but aerial fans refuse to leave it off lists like this. Why? Because it delivers some of the most visually striking early flight battles ever created. The film follows Manfred von Richthofen, the legendary pilot whose daring moves and bright red plane made him a symbol of the sky. While the story blends fact with dramatization, the flying scenes are the true centerpiece. Every dogfight feels handcrafted, like the crew wanted each frame to look like a painting. The filmmakers leaned into realism by studying original flight logs and early aviation notes. They recreated the quirks of those fragile biplanes, which rattled in the wind and needed steady hands to stay level. When the planes rise into battle, the cinematography keeps you close enough to see every stitch and wire. There is a sense of risk in the air, even during simple climbs. Despite its dramatic liberties, the movie avoids painting any side as flat heroes or villains. Instead, it treats the pilots as young men caught in a fast-changing world. That emotional grounding gives weight to the spectacle. You are not just watching aerobatics. You are watching pilots navigate pride, fear, and honor, all while strapped into machines that barely obey gravity. Number 7. Midway, 1976. Midway is what happens when filmmakers try to capture not just action, but strategy. Instead of focusing on a single heroic story, it zooms out, giving you a wider view of one of the most crucial turning points in the Pacific. The film uses an impressive cast and mixes narrative scenes with actual wartime footage, creating a blend that feels rugged and authentic. You can see real planes, real carriers, and real formations filling the screen. The standout feature is its commitment to showing how leaders on both sides tried to guess each other's moves. Decisions are made with partial information, timing is constantly shifting, and the tension builds as every choice brings both danger and opportunity. When the planes finally launch, the payoff feels earned. The aerial footage may not be high-tech by modern standards, but the weight of reality behind it makes the scenes feel grounded. What makes Midway thrive is how clearly it explains the chain of events. You understand why the battle unfolded the way it did. The film respects the audience enough to let them follow the mental chess game without dumbing anything down. And when the bombers dive, the sound mix tightens, making every run feel important. Number 6. Pearl Harbor, 2001. Pearl Harbor is often remembered for its romance plot, but take that aside, and you are left with one of the most ambitious aerial sequences ever filmed. The attack sequence remains a technical mountain that few films have climbed since. Real stunt pilots, practical explosions, massive set pieces, and carefully choreographed flight paths turn the sky into an overwhelming storm of fire, smoke, and motion. The sheer scale of the sequence is breathtaking. The movie blends digital elements with practical footage, but the real planes do the heavy lifting. Low passes skim across water. Smoke trails twist behind the wings. Camera rigs track planes so closely that you feel the cockpit shake. The energy is relentless, designed to pull viewers into the confusion and speed of the morning assault. At the same time, the film doesn't shy away from showing the viewpoint of everyday people caught in the chaos. Sailors rush across decks, mechanics sprint to cover, and nurses fight to keep up with the rising emergency. These human moments anchor the spectacle and give it emotional weight. Number 5. 12 O'Clock High, 1949. 12 O'Clock High is the kind of film that pilots, historians, and military academies still reference today. Instead of going all in on spectacle, it focuses on the emotional and psychological pressure placed on bomber crews. Gregory Peck plays Colonel Frank Savage, a leader brought in to rebuild a struggling unit. What sets this movie apart is how seriously it treats the mental toll of long, dangerous missions. The film uses real wartime footage, mixed with carefully staged flight scenes, giving it a grounded and documentary-like feel. You see planes shaking during flight, engines straining, and formations stretching into the horizon. The slow, methodical pace of bomber missions is captured with impressive detail. There are no flashy tricks here. Everything feels honest, but the heart of the movie is leadership. Savage must earn the trust of his exhausted crew, pushing them to operate as a tight, disciplined team. The tension doesn't come from one giant battle. It comes from the small cracks in confidence that appear during daily operations. As the team bonds and recovers their strength, the film becomes a powerful reflection on resilience. 12 O'Clock High stands tall as one of the most accurate portrayals of air crews during World War II. It is thoughtful, intense, and deeply respectful. If you want a film that shows the true weight carried by those who flew, this one remains unmatched. Number 4. The Dam Busters, 1955. The Dam Busters is a film built on ingenuity and grit. It tells the story of the daring mission to destroy heavily defended dams using a new type of spinning bomb, but the true joy of the movie lies in how carefully it builds tension. You follow the engineers designing the bouncing device, the pilots training at low altitude, and the crews preparing for one of the most daring nighttime operations of the war. It feels like a full journey rather than a single moment. The flying scenes are impressive, especially considering the time period. The filmmakers used real Lancaster bombers and filmed them skimming across water and valleys at nerve-shaking heights. These low-altitude runs give the movie a distinctive visual style. Instead of swirling dogfights, you get precision flying, tight turns, and pitch-black skies filled with danger. The film also gives attention to the teamwork involved. Pilots rely on navigators, bomb aimers, and radio operators, each contributing to the success of the run. When the final attack begins, the tension is nearly unbearable. You feel every second stretching as the crews try to hit their targets. The Dam Busters is more than a war movie. It is a study of problem-solving, courage, and unshakable focus. Its influence even reached modern cinema, inspiring key moments in space-themed adventure films. It remains a masterclass in building suspense through discipline and determination. Number 3. The Eternal Zero, 2013. The Eternal Zero doesn't rush. It builds. Slowly. Carefully. And by the time its aerial scenes arrive, they hit with a quiet power that's different from anything else on this list. The movie follows a young man uncovering the truth about his grandfather, a skilled pilot whose life was far more complicated than the stories passed down through the family. Instead of glorifying flight, the film explores the emotional strain behind every mission. The dogfights are beautifully crafted. The camera often holds steady on long, sweeping shots, letting you feel how quickly the planes cut through the air. The choreography keeps the action readable, not chaotic. Even when digital effects appear, they are blended with care, giving the scenes a painterly quality. The skies feel both wide and claustrophobic at the same time. What gives this film its impact is its emphasis on character. You see why the grandfather became such a talented pilot, and also why that gift came with heavy responsibility. The past unfolds through interviews, journals, and memories, each adding a piece to the puzzle. It becomes less a simple World War II story, and more a lesson on how courage and fear often exist side by side. The Eternal Zero stands out because it takes aerial combat seriously. Its emotional depth and stunning visuals make it unforgettable for viewers who want something more thoughtful than non-stop action. Number 2. The Tuskegee Airmen, 1995. Before high-budget effects and digital skies, a small group of filmmakers took on the challenge of telling the story of the Tuskegee Airmen with sincerity and heart. This film aired on television, but its quality easily matches theatrical releases. It follows the first African-American military aviators during World War II, showing the discipline, talent, and determination they used to carve out their place in history. The flying scenes are practical and nicely shot. You want to find fast, sweeping camera tricks or heavy visual effects. Instead, the film relies on real aircraft footage, close cockpit shots, and strong performances to carry the emotion. When the P-51s roar across the screen, you can almost feel the pride behind every maneuver. The movie shines brightest in its character moments. You watch the group evolve from uncertain trainees into confident pilots who refuse to back down. They face doubt, limited expectations, and constant pressure, yet they learn to trust each other and rise above every challenge. Even with a smaller budget, the film delivers an inspiring mix of flight action and heartfelt storytelling. It balances history with entertainment and gives viewers an intimate look at the courage behind the skies. Number 1. Flying Leathernecks, 1951. Flying Leathernecks is a classic sky-driven film that showcases the grit and discipline of Marine pilots during the Pacific Campaign. John Wayne takes the lead as a commander who must balance the demands of leadership with the harsh realities of constant flight operations. Instead of turning the story into a glossy adventure, the film leans into the responsibilities placed on pilots during long missions. The aerial footage is the standout element. The movie uses real planes, filmed in real conditions, giving the sky sequences a sharp and grounded feel. You can see the weather shifting, the waves moving below, and the challenges that come with keeping formation. These real-world visuals give the film an edge that modern effects sometimes lack. The story focuses on the friction between leadership styles. The main character pushes his squadron relentlessly, trying to keep them sharp. His officers question him, his pilots struggle under the pressure, and tensions run high. Yet, underneath the strict exterior is someone who understands the weight of every decision. Flying Leathernecks blends character drama with gritty sky action. It may come from the early 50s, but it remains gripping because of its authenticity and emotional honesty. For viewers who want classic-style aerial footage and a strong central performance, it still holds its place as a standout entry. So, what did all these films prove? That when the sky becomes the stage, even the simplest story can feel enormous. Real planes, real stunts, and real human struggles never go out of style. If one thing connects every movie on this list, it is the reminder that flight can still stir something powerful in us. If you enjoyed this journey, drop a comment, share your favorites, and hit subscribe. And tell me, which film made you feel the sky the most?